On behalf of the Mayor's Office of Diversity and Human Rights, we would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you.
Okay. We're honored to have you here to celebrate Human Rights Day with us today. Today we're celebrating the Stand Up for Human Rights campaign and global movement. It's been going strong for 71 years now. The campaign aims to take actions towards progressing human rights while upholding values of peace, inclusion, and advocacy for all, especially those that don't have a voice or a platform. Okay, go ahead.
In 1948, the UN adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. This declaration proclaims the right which everyone is inherently entitled to as a human being, regardless of race, color, religion, sex, language, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status.
To begin this program, we're actually really pleased to have Carl Moore of Pandos of SLC Air Protectors for our opening prayer. Carl, can you come up, please? Wonderful.
Does this one work? All right, cool. I'm going to take it off of here. All right, Loloman, good evening, everyone. My relatives out there. I am going to offer a blessing. And in this blessing, I'm going to acknowledge the four directions, the Creator, Grandfather, and also Unchi Maka, Grandmother Earth here. I do want to say, before I start, I want to recognize whose land we're on. I want to recognize that we're on Shoshone land, Goshute land, Ute land right now, and that myself, as a Hopi, Chimwave, English, Irish, German, Mexican person, that I'm a visitor here as well. And so it's important that I recognize that and that I respect these people because it's their land that I live on and that I eat from and things like that. So let's start with this song that's going to recognize these directions. Wioch patakia etuayo nintung ka sheila achitu anyam kelo hai chekiayo chekiayo ahitu anyam kelo hai Wazia takia aituayo nintung ka sheila ahitu anyam kelo chekiayo chekiayo ahitu anyam kelo Ito karatatia etuayo nintung ka sheila ahitu anyam kelo chekiayo chekiayo ahitu anyam kelo Yochia patatia etuayo nintung ka sheila ahitu anyam kelo chekiayo chekiayo ahitu anyam kelo Wakantakia etuayo wakantanka echia hayakaelo hai chekiayo chekiayo ahitu onyakelo Makatakia etuayo unchi makankia echia heyankelo chekiayo anakotan heyankelo Wakantanka Kakashi, our Creator God, we come here as your creation and give you thanks for our lives, for what we have been given. Creator, we thank you for the sun, for it's shining on us, for the warmth that it gives to us, for the happiness that it brings to us. Thank you for the clouds. Thank you for the rain that comes in those clouds. Thank you for the water that we have to drink, the water that we have for our medicines. We thank you for those things. Thank you for all the creation. Thank you for your trees that make our air clean for us. Thank you for the grass that grows, that provides nourishment to those animals that we eat. Creator, thank you for our crops that we have. Thank you for the fields that we have. Thank you for those things that we eat, Creator. Thank you for the corn, the beans, the squash, the rice. Thank you for them. Thank you for those lives that they give their life for us. Creator, thank you for those animals that we eat, that we consume. Creator, we ask you at this time that you would help us, to recognize who we are as a part of your creation and as part of a family here, not just a family of people. But help us recognize that we're a family of all creation, that we're families we're brothers and sisters to our relatives, the animals and the plants. We're relatives to the water, we're relatives to the mountains, we're relatives to the stars and the moon. Creator, we ask that you would help us to remember those things. And then, Creator, we also just offer up our follies to you. Just ask that you would have mercy on us for doing wrong things, for being mean to each other sometimes, for being selfish. Creator, help us that we can change our ways. Creator, help us that we can treat other people the way that we're supposed to treat each other. Creator, I ask at this time, a blessing on the communities that are out there that are suffering. Creator, I ask you that you would protect, or that you would give strength to those people, to those children who are being detained right now at this moment. Help them, Creator. Bless their parents. Bless those people who are wanting for them, or who are worried about them. Help them, give them the strength. Creator, I ask for governments and people who are in charge, that they would have their hearts softened, that they can recognize what is going on, that they can do a better job at taking care of them. Creator, I ask for our missing and murdered Indigenous women, children, girls, men, LGBTQ, and beyond, anyone who is missing, at this time. Creator, I ask that you would help them and bless them at this time, that they could have the strength to get through these things, that they could have some sense of love and value that you have given them. Help them that they can get through this. Help us that we can find them. Help those people who are working to find them, that they can find them, and that they can get them out of the ugly situation, Creator. Creator, I pray for the families who are suffering with the loss of loved ones, family members who have been taken in a violent way, family members who have just been taken. Creator, I pray for them that they could have the ability to mourn, that they could have some kind of closure. Creator, I pray that they could have some sense of comfort, knowing, that you are the Creator and you take care of everything, that you make everything good in the end. Creator, that you have taken care of us from the day we were born, just giving us those things, giving us a mother, giving us things. Recognize that. So Creator, I pray for them. Creator, I pray for these organizations that are out here doing good works, that they are trying to help out each other, that they're trying to help the communities, the immigrant community, the refugee community. All these communities need help. I pray for them, and that they can continue and they can grow, and that people can be exposed to who they are, and we can tell everybody who they are, and we can guide them to them. So, Creator, at this time, again, I acknowledge that you're the creator of all of us, and that we need help. And I pray for the food, that can give that nourishment to us. And I pray for us that we can recognize that food gave its life for us. Thank you for the people who have made that food, who have prepared that. Thank you for the organizers of this committee. Creator, also at this time I want to ask a special blessing upon our Salt Lake Valley, that Salt Lake, the marsh. Protection against this inland port that is going to come out. Creator, bless people that they can understand what they're doing. Help us to help this area have good air, good living situation for all of us. Help us out, help them out, help the people out that are doing things there. So, Creator, again, I thank you for quiet on relations.
Thank you, Carl. That was very beautiful.
Human rights are something that are intrinsic to all human beings. And not all of us have the ability or the power to be able to stand up for those rights. There are many of us who cannot speak for ourselves.
I have privilege. I have privilege because of the opportunities that have been availed to me, and I want to make sure that others also have those privileges and opportunities. I use my privilege to try to open doors for others.
I believe that it is everyone's responsibility to stand up for human rights, and it is even more so those who have the privilege to do it easily, to make space and a path for those who may have a harder time.
And I felt that people like me needed to represent and create a bridge between our community and the government itself.
In my work, I'm building diverse teams and being inclusive, as well as in our community, making sure that everybody feels welcome in Salt Lake City.
Because I feel it's like my responsibility too. It's my responsibility as a refugee to give back. I need everybody knows what the refugee going through, with the voice of the refugee, what they want, what they need.
And we can boil it down to the things that you learn in first and second grade are basically the way that you should treat everybody around you. The way that you wish to be treated is the way that you should treat everybody else.
Again, it really comes down to just that fundamental rights, being able to be treated, quite frankly, equally.
So having that diverse representation on the commission allows us as commissioners to be able to look at our entire community, not just one little corner of it, and to be able to serve the entire community.
It's more about education, advocacy, training, being a voice for issues that are sort of outside of the scope and scale of what people encounter on a daily basis.
I am the executive sponsor and founder of Vivid Pride, which is our LGBTQ plus employee resource group, and we are actively reaching out to other tech companies within the Silicon Slopes in Utah.
The way I try to represent human rights in our community is by being part of different networks, be that faith or interfaith or school or different social networks, and trying to bridge the gap of people's needs and the way the government responds to those needs.
To prevent discrimination and also promote equity and social justice in our community.
Just showing up and showing support for our fellow Salt Lakers.
I think that the opportunities that have come to me, and oftentimes it's been because others have opened doors for me or have seen potential in me, I feel very strongly about paying that forward.
It's just be willing to step up and be willing to speak out for what we believe in.
Now more than ever, it is incumbent on us to be brave, to take that first step, to step out of our comfort zone, to speak up when something bad has happened, to make our voices heard.
I'm Kim Maines, and I stand for human rights.
Luna Banuri, I stand for human rights.
My name is Nicole Salazar Hall, and I stand up for human rights.
My name is Jason Wessel, and I stand for human rights.
أنا أقف مع حقوق الإنسان.
I'm Rebecca Chavez Hauk, and I stand up for human rights.
Shauna Dumbia, I stand for human rights.
I'm Miley Yang, I stand for human rights.
I will always use my right to stand up for your rights. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. If we could please join us in welcoming Selena Milner. She's the Director of the Office of Diversity and Human Rights for the Mayor's Office. She's going to come up and talk to us about why we're all here today. Selena?
Thank you. How's everybody doing tonight? What are we doing here? What is tonight? What is today? Human Rights Day. What do we do for human rights? We stand up. Guess what I need you guys to do right now? Everybody, stand up. I promise this will keep us warmer. Stand up for human rights. Stand up for human rights, stand up for your rights, stand up for other rights. Okay, everybody can go ahead and get seated. What are human rights? When someone says, that's against my human right, what is it? There's actually papers on your table. And did you know that in 1948, the United Nations got together and they created 30 Universal Declaration of Human Rights? What are those rights? Do we know what our rights are? If we know what our rights are, we know how to stand up for the rights of others. Let me review some of my favorite while Ballet Folklorico gets ready. Number 1, all human beings are born free and equal. Everyone is free. Number 2, everyone is entitled to their rights without discrimination. Everyone is to be equally protected by the law. Everyone has the right to justice. These are some of my favorites. Everyone has the right to seek protection from another country. We all have the right to seek asylum. Freedom of expression. Everyone has the right to opinion and expression. Did you know that everyone has the right to rest and to recreate? We have the right to play. Everyone has the right to decent living, right to food, right to shelter. Everyone has the right to education. Do you know that you have a right to education? And my final one that I love is number 30. No one can take away your human rights. Make sure that you learn these. Tonight we're celebrating, but we want to make sure that we learn these. There's a lot of individuals in this community that are doing good work around human rights. We're going to honor some of them tonight. We want to make sure that you know your rights so that you can stand up for not only your rights, but the rights of others. There's a long way that we need to go. My mother always said, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Starting tonight, we can stand together and take care of each other by protecting each other's human rights. So I thank you for coming. Now, you guys can always remember to stand up for human rights, and we're going to welcome a wonderful group, Ballet Folklorico.
Cartas del tarot le dirán la verdad. Le mostramos la cara de...
Well, this feels like home to me. Thank you for being here tonight. It's so nice to see you all. That was amazing. I swear these kids grow between performances that I've witnessed. They are growing like weeds. Well, thank you for being here tonight. I am proud to be here with you and very excited about who is winning tonight. We had a team of people pouring through the applications, and then I have the honor of selecting winners, and tonight is a very exciting night for me. So we begin tonight with the Emerging Leader Award, which is presented to Cassandra Begay. Yes. For those of you who don't know Cassandra is the climate justice organizer for NDN Collective, in addition to being the founder of Defend the Sacred Consulting and co-founder and formal tribal liaison for Pandos. Formally recognized by former President Obama as a social change leader, she led community engagement efforts with Utah Dini Bakaya to protect the Bears Ears National Monument and helped to establish the first ever Dini majority in the recent San Juan County elections. So congratulations to Cassandra.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you everyone for putting on this really nice event. Thank you to the performers. It was absolutely beautiful. Thank you to the folks who prepared the food and feeding everybody, and thank you for showing support today. My name is Cassandra Begay. Traditionally, we introduce ourselves by our cultural clanship system, so that's what I'll do in Navajo. I am a proud member of the Navajo Nation and the Navajo tribe. So yat she Cassandra Begay Yinishe, Sitna Jenny and Shlin, Nakaiden Bashichin, Twadichini Dashiche, Nakaiden Dashinilla. I was born for the Blackstreak Wood people, and I come from one of the strongest nations within the most powerful nation, the Navajo Nation. And it's also one of the most impoverished communities. I've been working in the community as a community organizer around human rights for Indigenous communities, and I currently work with the Indian Collective as a climate justice organizer. And I just want to say a few things. With a long history of violence, white supremacy, destruction, and extraction, America is built on the foundation of a broken and exploitive system. It is no surprise that the world in which we live is inequitable for both people and the planet, with wealth inequality growing exponentially, health and education outcomes dictated by zip code and geography, and a climate crisis looming in our near future caused by prioritizing short-term gains for the few over long-term sustainability for all. But since contact with the European world, this is nothing new for us as Indigenous peoples. We have witnessed the catastrophic destruction of our people and cultures, broken treaties, the taking of our ancestral lands, and our outcomes in education, health, unemployment, and well-being have remained dismal and stagnant regardless of who sits in political power. Today, our people have lower than average high school graduation rates, 65% versus a national average of 75.2%, with only 14% of Native Americans earning a college degree through Western academic systems. Some of the lowest health rankings in the United States, the highest rates of unemployment in the US, including as high as 90% on some reservations compared to the US average of 3.8%. 4.4 years shorter life expectancy than the average life expectancy for all races in the US. We have 2 times the rate of violence than other groups. We have youth with the highest suicide rates among all ethnic groups in the US, and yet, despite all of these challenges, our Indigenous communities also have a myriad of cultural diversity, histories, stories, languages, and religions, access to our unique, traditional, cultural, place-based perspectives that can teach others honor, reciprocity, balance, and equality among all things. We have traditional knowledge that can revitalize our communities and the world, making all children more resilient to the changing world around us. Some of the most biologically diverse and energy-rich territories in the world, successful tribal and private businesses that generate more than $39 billion in annual income and employ around 208,000 workers annually. Our challenges in modern day are not due to lack of creativity, innovation, solutions, or people that exist in Indian country. The current lack of power, capacity, and resources are directly related to the history of contact and conquest in this continent. Because of this, and despite this, we are among the most resilient people in the world, and we are ready to build a future in which our children and ecosystem can thrive. Coincidentally, current political, societal, and technological conditions in the US and abroad are creating a context where new paradigms of engagement are necessary and sorely needed. The Indian Collective's mission is to build the collective power of Indigenous peoples, communities, and nations to exercise our inherent right to self-determination, while fostering a world that is built on a foundation of justice and equity for all people on the planet. We know we cannot realize our mission without strong, innovative, forward-thinking, and progressive partners. So I just want to say thank you to everyone, the mayor, thank you for this award, thank you to the administration. Thank you for continuing to show up and for support in our Indigenous communities and the efforts that are being led by Indigenous communities here in Utah. I also want to acknowledge each of you in this room. It's very difficult to show up time and time and again. So I just want to acknowledge that, and I honor that in each of you. And I just want to say "Hehat," that means thank you in my Navajo language. And also, I want to say thank you to my mother. She's here today. She's the matriarch, and if it weren't for her, I wouldn't be doing this work. My sister and my partner and my niece, she's the most important one, the future generations right there. So thank you so much.
Oh, right? Inspiring. Look at, the future is bright. Yes, and good job, Mom. Good job. Our next recognition is the Exceptional Organization Award, which is presented to Journey of Hope. Yes, Journey of Hope was founded June of 2014 by Shannon Cox. Since opening their doors, Journey of Hope has helped over 1,000 women. Their goal is to empower women and girls at risk from further harm and incarceration. By offering holistic, gender-responsive, trauma-informed case management, Journey of Hope is committed to ending the unique prison pipeline which impacts women in our community. Accepting the award on behalf of Journey of Hope is Shannon Cox herself. Shannon?
It's an impressive group to be standing here in front of. Thank you. Thank you. Jackie and I were on a subcommittee with women in law enforcement for a long time, and every time I walked into that group, I talked about the oppression of women and girls in our community and the amount of sexual assault that's occurring and the domestic violence, and that we as women in uniform could do something about it. And I did as much as I could as a law enforcement officer, but it's a tough space to be in, to fight for people's rights. And so I left to create Journey of Hope, and we've served over 1,800 women so far, walking out of jail, prison, and off the street. Yeah. We have a really high recidivism rate in Utah at 67%. It's one of the highest in the United States. But in our mentoring program, where we walk women out of prison with someone to guide them to make sure they have safe housing, to make sure that they have job opportunities, to make sure that they know that they're more than the mistakes that they've made in their life, we have 17% recidivism in 5 years. When women are safe, they are amazing. They are resilient. They are powerful. So now we hire those women, those survivors of domestic violence, those survivors of trafficking, those survivors of incarceration, because a lot of women are scared to walk into a space, maybe under the influence, and talk to an ex-cop. But they're not scared to walk into that space to talk to somebody that's been where they've been. There is power in peer leadership and survivor leadership. And I use my privilege to open the door so that those women can walk through it. And I would like 2 of them to stand up. 2 of them to stand up. So we will keep opening doors, but we have to recognize that our community has some illnesses. We are above the national average in sexual assault for males and females in their state, and we are above the national average in domestic violence homicide. There is a lot of trauma occurring, and if we don't do something, if we don't intervene in those traumas, if we don't see those harmed children, they start to self-medicate, they become reactive, and we can criminalize them and arrest them, but we'll never solve the mental health issues behind that trauma with incarceration. So we have to create trauma-informed communities. And these are powerful circles you're sitting in. These are powerful tables you're sitting in. And we can start to do that in our own communities. Thank you.
So Shannon and I started, we actually are co-founders of Utah Women in Law Enforcement, trying to bring women into law enforcement so we have a different look and feel. And that organization has been around since 2009. So she's been busy with her first nonprofit and now her second one. So congratulations, Shannon, for the work you're doing. All right, our final recognition tonight is the Award for Outstanding Individual. This year we honor Luis Garza, Executive Director of Communities United. Luis immigrated to the United States and Utah from Mexico at the age of 16. A true community champion, Luis has been involved in community affairs for the past 10 years. Prior to working at Communities United, Luis worked for the Salt Lake City Mayor's Office of Diversity and Human Rights, the State Office of Ethnic Affairs, University of Utah Hospital, and the Utah Health Policy Project. Along with being active in local and state level politics, Luis is very passionate about U.S. and Mexican politics and their implications on migration and migrant health. Luis received coalition building and grassroots organizing training from the Florida Immigrant Coalition in 2009. He also received training on immigrants and access to health care from the Mexican Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Mexican Ministry of Health in 2010 in Mexico City. As Executive Director of Communities United, Luis uses his skills and education to guide the Immigrant Rights Organization, giving a voice to many in the community at a particularly troubling time in our country's history. So congratulations to you and thank you for all your service over the many years you've been working.
Thank you so much, Mayor, for this wonderful recognition. And thank you to Centro Civico for hosting this event. So as it was mentioned, my name is Luis Garza. I am the Executive Director of Comunidades Unidas, Communities United. And so even though this is an award on the individual category, I will not be anybody without the team of Comunidades Unidas. So if everyone at Comunidades Unidas can stand. Yes, and we have. So we have an amazing team at the organization. So we're an immigrant rights organization. This year we turned 20 years working here in the Salt Lake County area and all throughout the state. And our mission is really to empower our community, our immigrant and Latinx community, to ensure that we know our rights. You know, as we today are celebrating human rights, it's important that immigrant rights are human rights, especially as we are experiencing unprecedented levels of attacks on immigrant communities, separation of families, not only at the border, but here in our own state. We have over 10,000 dreamers that are currently in limbo as the Supreme Court is deciding the fate of the DACA program. Something that we do at Comunidades Unidas is we're fighting for all of our rights. That is not enough for the government to provide temporary permits every 2 years for our young students and young people to be in limbo and renewing every 2 years. So what we are fighting for is not only comprehensive immigration reform, is not only to make sure that our communities are having access, appropriate access to healthcare, but is really for full equality and full justice for our communities. And that's something that is, so that's something that we invite you to join us, especially as 2020 is coming. We know that the census is coming. We need to make sure that our voices are heard throughout our communities. Without those voices, we are not going to get the resources that we need for all of our neighborhoods and all of our communities, especially on the west side of the city and west side of this county. And then we have, of course, the election in 2020. We need to turn out the vote and make sure that we elect people that represent our values and that we are electing communities of color, we're electing women, we're electing LGBTQ leaders, because we need change in this country and we need change in this state. So thank you so much again for this recognition.
I would like to take this time to recognize our Mayor, Jackie Biskupski. If she can come back.
Okay, come on.
Well, on behalf of Ballet Folclórico de las Américas, which has been in existence since 1979, so this is our 40th year anniversary. Centro Civico has been sponsoring us for just about that many years. This is our home, and we want to tell you, mi casa es su casa. Our house is your house. This is la casa de todos. Centro Civico Mexicano has been so great with us, and it is also because you have supported our Latin American performing arts, and this is a recognition for you. Let's go this way. Okay. From Ballet Folclórico de las Américas for your continued support of the Latin American folk arts. Ballet Folclórico de las Américas also has been part of excellence in the community, and I know that your office also sponsors that. Thank you so much for supporting that diversity and making it stronger.
Thank you, everyone. We'll now move on to the next part of our program, and we're going to have Gloria Aridanta come up and read a beautiful poem for us. Gloria?
you. Can you hear me? Cuando era pequeña, ni el cucuy ni la llorona me espantaban. Solo las cartas de mi padre, escritas de su puño y letra, que del norte llegaban. Mi madre las abría con cara desencajada, mientras leía con voz quebrada. Primer intento. Después de gatear por túneles, salimos a correr a lo largo de un río hasta que escuchamos ¡la migra! ¡La migra! De manera poco humana, terminamos en detención. Segundo intento. Corriendo sobre la pesada arena y después sobre las olas del mar. ¡La migra! ¡La migra! A la cárcel fuimos a dar. Tercer intento. Corriendo en el lodo de sembradíos, caímos hasta hundir nuestro rostro. Ratas y fieras acechaban nuestros cuerpos, que estaban tendidos unos encima de los otros. ¡La migra! ¡La migra! Y varios días encerrados volvimos a estar. Cuarto intento. Hecho un rollo humano, fui escondido en un neumático en la caja de un tráiler. Esta vez docenas llegamos a nuestros destinos. ¡La migra! ¡La migra! A diario, rutina sobre nuestras cabezas. En mi pequeña cabeza, después del primer intento, mi corazón lloraba. Que pare, que no lo intente más. Pero lo hacía por mí y los míos, dejándome una culpa muy grande, además de lágrimas y escalofríos. En esta vida no existen fantasmas, ni almas en pena o monstruos debajo de la cama. La migra, es lo que causa más miedo a todo aquel cuya piel no sea blanca. Tampoco perdona edad o sexo, ya que con impiedad solo busca de cada alma la piel arrancar. When I was a child, el cucuy y la llorona did not scare me. The fear came from the north, in my father's letters, written by his own hand. My mother opened them. As she read, her face will go pale. Her voice will break down. First try. After crawling through tunnels, we emerged and ran along a river until we heard, La migra, la migra. In a cruel, inhuman way, we ended up in detention. Second try, running over the heavy sand and then through the beach's waves. La migra. To jail we went. Third try, running through the muddy fields, we fell on our faces and we were covered with dirt and grime. Rats and wild animals surrounded us. We huddled together, trying to hide in the muck. La migra. For many days we were locked up. Fourth try. A human roll I became, hidden inside a huge tire inside a trailer. This time, a few dozen of us arrived at our chosen locations. La migra. Every day became a routine in our heads. In my mind, after the first attempt, my heart cried, please stop, just stop, don't try anymore. He did it for me and my loved ones. I felt an immense sense of guilt and grew into horrific shaking and unending tears. In this life, there are no ghosts or restless souls or monsters under your bed. La migra is what steals the most fear for those whose skin is not white. Fear does not recognize age or gender. With empathy, it seeks only to rip the skin from every soul. Thank you.
We will welcome again Ballet Flocorico.
Thank you for having us here. My name is David. I'm the artistic director of Ballet Folkloric. Thank you, girls.
I know everyone is anxious about the last part of the program, so we saved the best for the last. Here we welcome Rosette, who will tell you all about it. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Rosette. I'm from Congo, and I've been in this country years, like 12 years, but I'm still learning English. So I'm so happy to be part of this program. And how I'm going to present my group. My group I started since in the refugee camp. The time I didn't have something to do, or my kids didn't have anything to do in the camp. That's the way how I started this group. And then when I came to this country, and we started to perform around, and then and to help the community, and to make the kids to be busy. So what we do in my group, we teach the kids to dance, and we instruct them, and we teach them our culture, and to show them what we learn from our country, and to teach them how is our culture. So I'm going to present my kids. I didn't bring all of them because today is a Thursday, more school. But next time I'm going to bring them. And if you need more information about teaching the kids African dance, you can see my cards on that table, and or you can see me and can talk more about it. Thank you.
It's Maggie E on the beat. Hey, this one na Sara Sara. The beat is dana dana. We go make you manya manya. Ines is in manya manya. Oh yeah, make you ricotta mama Africa ricotta. Make you dance yeah, 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 yeah. Everybody ricotta mama Africa ricotta. Make you dance yeah, 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 yeah. This one na Sara Sara. The beat is dana dana. We go make you manya manya. Ines is in manya manya. This is for people with chalacha, people with kalaka, and I walanya, and the kalanya. It will make you feel better. This can take away palapa. This can take away wahala. It will make you feel Niger. Oh yeah, let's go to Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, Togo, Cameroon, Niger, Ghana, South Sudan. Oh yeah, make you ricotta, mama Africa, ricotta, make it dance, everybody ricotta, mama Africa, ricotta, make it dance, Wale Sara Sara le, oh Sara Sara le, make it dance, oh Sara Sara le, mama Africa, Sara Sara le, make it dance, this one not dance, if you dance so easy, make you no fight, you gon' forget your sorrow. Makachuku, you go buy a plate for your motor. Hey, talentana. It go make you manya manya. Ines is in manya manya. This is for people with chalacha. People with kalaka. Nandi walanya. Nandi kalanya. It go make you feel better. This can take away palapa. This can take away wahala. It go make you feel Niger. Oh yeah, let's go to Zambia, Uganda, South Africa, Togo, Cameroon, Burundi, also Benin Republic. Oh yeah, make you ricotta, mama Africa, ricotta, make it dance, yeah, everybody ricotta, mama Africa, ricotta, make it dance, yeah, Ole sara sara le, oh sara le, make it dance, yeah, oh sara le, mama Africa, sara le, make it dance, yeah. Imane me go for sara le, play for mama sara le, make it dance, yeah. Okola sara le, ni bonine sara le, make it dance, yeah. Bundere 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 bum bum bundere bundere bum 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 zumba 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 music, yes, Centro. Et Chakalama Mode.
Comment je devrais danser, j'attends la chair de ma mère. Attends, laisse dire ça. Mon ami, je dis, tu ne vois pas les filles. On t'invite à un yoga et toi, tu viens pour taper les styles. Je vois que tu vois, mon ami, une fois, si tu n'avais pas envie de yoga, Mola, il fallait rester chez toi.
Thank you so much.